Hello, everybody. This is Mastermind here, yet again. And today I want to talk about wasting time. People waste time for many reasons. And it's mostly due to tiredness and needing a break from life, because everybody needs a break in life. Everybody gets tired, you go to work for 8 hours. Some people work way more than that in one shift, which is insane to me still. And you come home and you need a break. It's maybe like midnight, maybe, right? You come home, you need a break and everything, right? But people can take that to an extreme. And bad habits comes in. You can... Well, let me put it this way. People waste time for these reasons. Absolute tiredness, bad habits, and fearing of life. And I'm going to get into all three. So let's first get to the first one, right? That was not English, but let's get to the first one. People get tired. Like I said, you could work for long ass time and you come back home and you are super, super tired. It's been proven again and again, right, that this kind of, you could say, lifestyle, which is a very overproductive lifestyle, right, like overproductivity, it leads to mental and physical exhaustion. It can lead to burnout, loss of joy, aka depression, etc. However, like every extreme, there's the flip side, right, where one is overproductive, the other is super, super, super lazy, right? Like what the definition of unemployed, is, right? People waste time, those people just waste time for laziness sake, right? Instead of filling your hours with something to do, you don't do anything. And at this kind of stake, you might be watching like Netflix shows, but that's really all you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Now, like I said before, I'm all for, giving yourself a break and everything. Maybe have a nice vacation. But even in vacations, like, you want to do something. If you were to have a relaxing vacation to Fiji or something, right? Cool. You're still probably going to do something, right? Like, I remember in all of my vacations, like, yeah, I aim to relax. I aim to have a good time. But I still aim to do something, in this case of wasting time, right, of being this, like, unemployed, being, like, the definition of unemployed, right, because that's the kind of laziness I'm trying to talk about right here, or the tiredness. You're just doing literally nothing. You don't have work, nothing, right, straight up doing nothing. You're pretty much staring at a wall. You're watching paint dry, but the paint is drying for 17 hours. Or even more, depending on your sleep schedule. For me personally, I have binge watched Avatar: The Last Airbender. And it's a great show, right? Haven't seen season 3 yet. But I've seen the first 2 seasons in 2 days. One season on one day, the second season the other, and those 2 seasons were just my day. Otherwise, I was just straight up sleeping, and that's bad. That's really, really bad. I could have done anything with that time. I could have learned something, right? I could have continued my computer science study. Like, I could have actually done something. I could have read a book. I have a lot of philosophy books. I could have read a book. But I didn't. And this should prove that there's always something to do, right? You could do something. Even when you feel like there's nothing to do, you can just make up something, right? And odds are you don't even have to, right? Odds are there is something to do. Whether you have to clean, whether you have a book laying around, maybe you have to handle something about your car or something like that. Like there is something to do, something to watch over. People who give the excuse of there's nothing to do clearly haven't thought about themselves, right? Because there's flaws in yourself, right? They clearly haven't thought about yourself or themselves, or at least themselves enough to notice the flaws within them that needs to be addressed. I just note down my notes. Of course I have notes. Now this comes hand in hand with number 2, right? Where bad habits come in. And there's a number of bad habits. I think a lot of people can name a few bad habits regarding wasting time. Video games, doom scrolling, etc., etc. Like sleeping, right? You could say sleeping could be because, yeah, sleeping for 8 hours is cool. You don't really need to sleep for like 14 hours, And I myself am guilty of that. Once again, getting a break from life is cool, right? But there's these people who game for like their entire day. Their whole day is just nothing but gaming. And they get like 4 hours of sleep. And dude, like, the sleep alone is not good. Gaming for 8 hours? Like, I'm not gonna lie with y'all. When I personally stare at a screen, like, my eyes are gonna hurt eventually. At some point, I have to turn off the screen and be like, okay, I need to recover. I need to recover from everything that just happened so far. Now, screen time is definitely, I would say, the leading cause in this sort of regard of bad habits regarding wasting of time. There's this article made by this guy named Naveen. And I'm definitely probably gonna butcher his name. Naveen Kumar. Average screen time statistics 2026 by Asian country, made in July 28, 2026. It's on demonsage.com. I'm obviously going to put or at least cite it in the description. And this guy goes into heavy statistics on a lot of things. But one thing that is to know, I'm only going to know a few things, right? He found that the average person is nearly 7 hours on a screen. 7 hours. Which, by the way, if we're going by your average day, you might have 8 hours of sleep, 8 hours of work, and then you probably have like 8 other hours for free time. And 7 of those hours is filled, for an average person, 7 of those hours is filled looking at a screen. He also states that if we were to regard this information to Gen Z, the average screen time is 9 hours. Which is even worse, because that means you're losing sleep. You're guaranteed losing sleep. I don't think people understand how awful that is. Right? Like, we hear these statistics, and I think we've already been known these statistics, but I don't think people understand how god awful. This is not good for your brain. It's not good for your eyes. It's not good for your attention span. It's just not good, period. It's not good, period. Right? It is simply not good, period. And he goes into statistics about also what the average person looks at. If I remember right, I'm going to scroll through this article now. If I remember, watching TV/videos, for the average person, 3 hours and 16 minutes is the average daily screen time on that. Almost 2 hours on gaming, about an hour and a half of social media, and so much other stuff. But like, the majority of the time is spent on just watching TV/videos. That's insane, man. That is insane, bro. How much Netflix do you need? You do not need to see the next episode of Drama Island, okay? Or Love Island, sorry. Another thing I'd like to mention, which I think I've mentioned in previous videos, is daydreaming, La La Land, right? Daydreaming is lying to yourself on another level, right? You are creating a false reality in your head that you may or may not continue as a means to please yourself in order to dodge reality. People who constantly daydream, I mean like not like a 24/7 thing, but anytime you're bored, you just daydream, right? They don't like reality, real life, so much so that they alter their perception of reality in their head, at the very least, into something that's more pleasing, right? Maybe in this alter reality, they have a girlfriend, maybe they have kids, maybe you have a boyfriend, maybe you like anything that's a lot more better than the reality that they're currently living. It's the greatest delusion that they can put themselves on, and I think anyone could put themselves on, for the sole purpose of avoiding reality or avoiding pain, right? And yet, despite them dreaming about living, they're truly just wasting time in ideas and actions that may even not be possible. Yeah, it may not even be possible with people who may or may not even exist, right? You might even daydream about fictional characters, you know? They create false scenarios. They dream about doing what they always wanted to do as a kid, and all the more, all just to live a better life, quote unquote. If someone connects to the third thing, right? Because now we're going to get into the third thing, which is about fearing life. Look, the world can oftentimes be cruel, heartless, unforgiving, etc., etc. And certain people associate the weight of these things to living and therefore wish not to live. This is where a lot of people get depressed, and a lot of people go even further than depressed. I think a lot of us know what that means. I can't say. But they've seen, or possibly even experienced, the violence, the hatred, the bullying, and much more, and associated certain things in life, or just life period, with how they felt when seeing or experiencing physically experiencing what happened to them. This is something that we naturally do, in which we associate memories with emotions as a way to remember them. And we learn certain things and base a lot of our subjective ideals and pretty much our own ideology and philosophy from our memories, which is just a recollection of what you had experienced, right? Which also could be corrupted, because as time passes on, your memory of certain events will die off, right? You will think you remember it, but there's a pretty good chance that it's not to the T. Now, it's this, and or the fact that some people fear the unknown, right? The unknown, as I put in my notes, lingers all across in the world like a shadow, right? People fear the unknown due to its own nature. It's unpredictable. It wanders from the darkness, and it may be unseen or unheard of before to a person that's also wandering around the world within this darkness, right? Because we don't know what life's going to throw at us. We don't know what's going to happen days from now. You know, we may have an idea, but it's not guaranteed to happen. And all of a sudden, boom, you know, some crazy thing just happens out of nowhere. Not everyone is like this, but many people do. And I personally feel like that number of people is increasing as the day goes by, possibly exponentially, hence this video. Now, all right, all of this to say what? Is wasting time a bad thing? Why shouldn't a person wander in their head endlessly and waste their physical body for however long they wish, slowly but surely decaying, but still happy, right? Slowly but surely decaying, as you could say, they fail to even live. They fail themselves to live, and therefore you could possibly say fail themselves to even love themselves, right? I will live a life that, though I am not realistically living, am satisfied with and overall pleased with, right? If a person is daydreaming all that their whole life, what's so wrong with it? I want to say that wasting time is exactly what it says. You are wasting your time on the earth. Your time on this earth is something you cannot take back. And I think we've heard that 24 gazillion thousand times. And this will get into my video of desensitization, if I'm saying that right. But it is a very, very, very true thing that I think people underestimate a holy heck ton. Your time here is precious. Your time here is limited. And you do not know exactly how long you will be here for. This life does have pain. And it may or may not at some point in life be so hard you don't even want to see tomorrow. And I know how that feels. Right? You don't even care about seeing tomorrow. You don't even want to get out of bed because you don't want to do anything. Right? You don't want to do anything and possibly be even more miserable. Right? I remember saying that I wish life was nothing but a dream because at least I can have control over it. Right? Like a lucid dream. But heck, if we were to take that comparison, that could be a reality, right? Because dreams are based on the mind, and how you perceive life is also on the mind. One thing I'd like to say is you gotta, or at least the thing that helped me, you have to start asking the big questions in your life. I know that sounds super cliche, but I would say you have to start asking the big questions in your life and seek the answers. You gotta look in your past and say that this will not define me. Because it's true. You define who you are, what you represent. The things that hold you back in life have your permission to hold you back. And you may not have absolute control. You can't stop yourself in an hour. You're gonna need time. But you can still control how long or how much of a hold certain things have on you. Maybe you don't like life because of addiction, right? But you can control that. You're going to have to go through withdrawal. It's going to be for maybe a month or two, maybe even 3, maybe even more than that. But it shows that you're still willing to change, to be better. You do not have absolute control like God. Everything takes time. But that's just the way life is, you know? It's besides the point anyways. It all gets complicated. Or at least living and all this stuff. It's very, very complicated. But the more you seek the answers, especially in yourself, I can at least assure you, who's hearing this, that you will find the answers that you need. All you have to do is seek the answers. Be willing to take the answer, despite how grim it may be or how difficult to accept it may be. Your mindset determines how you see life and what you do. It's a very important part of your personality and being. How you perceive life is everything. If you see life as nothing but miserable and pretty much hell, you are going to be miserable and you're going to feel like you're going through hell. But if you see life as a way of learning, as a way to be better, as a way to live, right? You see your time here is super limited. You have -2 idea of how long you're going to be here. And you're like, I'm going to live the best I can, right? And I want to take these steps to live as the best I can. It may suck at those times, right? I don't want to work at a 9 to 5, but it's just something I'm going to have to do in order to have my freedom, in order to live the good life. Then you're going to live like that. You're going to be a lot more different than the person who's miserable and sees life as nothing but miserable, right? How you perceive things makes all the difference. It really is. And this is where Stoicism comes in and plays a huge role in this. You can look at Marcus Aurelius's, Meditations and the rest of his books. You can, as far as other Stoics go, for beginner level, I would say, yeah, you could look at that. Look at Meditations. I've been reading Meditations for a while, and I would say that's a start. Plus, it's really well known. But other than that, that's all I have to say. Look at that. About 22 minutes. If you're interested in seeing more videos like this, because I definitely will be making more videos like this, then please hit the subscribe button. All right? If you like this video, obviously leave a like. And if you have any topic you guys want me to talk about, then please leave it in the comment section below. Right? I look at these comments. I like them. So be sure to leave your suggestion down below in the comments. And if you want to get notified of any time I do make a video, then please hit that bell. And as always, thank you for watching.